almost half of you that have a dedicated camp solution or other type of a health form. But overall, it's a pretty good mix of all of those options, and that is honestly completely what we expected. What we hear from our customers at Traction Rec is that they either just use Traction Rec for all things camp and childcare, or sometimes they use a secondary system. And we love it when that solution is Camp Doc, but that's not always the case today. But when it is Camp Doc, we find that secondary system, or sorry, when it isn't Camp Doc, we find that secondary system isn't integrated because they don't have an API that enables a two-way communication. And for those that are less technical, that just means that third party doesn't really play well with others. They want to be your sole system for doing all things from discovery to registrations to forms and logistics. And frankly, that can be a little risky. That has negative impacts on your organization's overall user experience because you're splitting out that registration experience into completely different systems. That parent that registered for swim lessons 2 weeks ago is now registering for camp, and it feels completely different and unfamiliar with a completely different set of login information and registration flow. And that system doesn't have all the information that you need either, like their membership status and their outstanding balance or their full family history of registrations and participation with your organization. So having two systems that do what they do best and play nicely together kind of give you the best of both worlds. Camp and childcare are highly specialized programs with very unique needs. And so, Dominic, from your perspective, why might having two systems working in tandem be a better option from Camp Doc's perspective?
Yeah, it's a great question, Jason. So, when we often think about the potential benefits of using two different systems side by side, I personally think it's really helpful to ask ourselves one core question that I've heard a lot of others ask, which is what is each system built or designed to do at its core? Because different platforms, they're just built to meet different needs and solve different problems, right? Now, sometimes when we try to force one system to do everything under the sun, we create a little bit of operational and compliance risk, albeit, of course, unintentionally. Now, that operational risk can sometimes be seen when we create some unnecessary friction within a process, and that compliance risk can be seen when we pose that subtle little safety risk. Sometimes both of those types of risk can also exist at the exact same time, and regardless of which situation you might find yourself in, we know that risk is something we want to avoid at all costs. So, when we look at strategies for avoiding risk, that's something that why we recommend a two-system approach. It's really coming back to risk mitigation. So think of it this way, right? Your recreation software, it's probably not built to handle medical records and compliance and privacy regulations, and that's a-okay. There's no need to fit a square peg into a round hole here and potentially create unnecessary risk because of it. Similarly, like Jason mentioned earlier, there are some aspects that you're going to find in a system like a Traction Rec or another recreation software that simply won't be available to you in a camp-focused system. And again, that's a-okay. So, to keep things as simple as possible, we often recommend designating your registration system as that go-to place for managing transactions and leverage a supplementary system that's really truly designed to handle compliance and secure medical documentation. So essentially, we're just circling back to that core question from earlier, right? What is each system built or designed to do and acting accordingly?